the new traders and me included back then, I would trade more of my P&L rather than the setup. If I was to use a stop loss, you know how I had a stop loss here on this point oh 0.03 position because at this point that account was like 87 to 90, but then I
Mm-hmm.
that point oh 0.03 was my biggest position because I mean we just didn't have any equity yet. Now we have equity in the game. I haven't been using stop losses because there's no point in using the stop loss when we have this kind of stack. But before we have this kind of stack, if I'm just an intraday trader and if I'm using that kind of stack, my stop loss be like it has to be correct if that makes sense. So that's what people don't understand about stop like hey, she's going crazy. I was like, what's that back there? So stop losses, it's not based on your entry. It is, but it isn't. The new traders and me included back then, I would trade more of my P&L rather than the setup. And stop loss, the rule is your stop loss has to be correct from the first entry. So if you got a late entry into the buy, and this would be a demand curve, I would put my stop loss technically below this first entry right here, if that makes sense. Because if it was to actually take off, even though this is a 1 hour chart, it tries to take off here. This was the first one to really start the trend because it would be this one here, but technically this one because this will be the retest of this zone. So your stop loss, if a perfect stop loss, will be here. The people will be like, oh, well, that's not right because all this price action has happened here. All this price action has happened here on the 1 hour chart. You get to the higher time frames and it looks a whole lot less complicated. That's why I don't use the 1 hour chart like that.